What's your name? My name's Emmanuel.
My name's Emmanuel. My name's Emmanuel. My name's Emmanuel.
Wait, my name is Emmanuel.
And my name is Emmanuel too. It's been about a week since Google released Veo 3 and it's taken the internet by storm. I'm sure you probably have seen those viral street interview videos or other very impressive videos out there on the internet. I've been playing around with it for a couple of days, and in this video I want to cut through the chase. I want to show you what it's good at, what it's not so good at. There are a few things there, and since I do create quite a bit of content related to animation, I'm going to dial down to see how good it is at a couple of categories of both 2D and 3D animations. Is this really a game changer for AI video generation? Let's get to it. Just a quick note, this one is a bit longer than my usual videos because I did some extensive testing and I wanted to make sure that I reported all my findings. I will add chapters below the video, so feel free to skip ahead to any section that interests you most. But I do recommend that you check out the conclusions at the end. Alright, let's start with the very first reason I believe Veo 3 has been going viral is that we now have the ability to generate native audio from within the model. So you can do your prompts to generate both the videos, and then you can add prompts for what you want the characters to say, sound effects, and even music all in one prompt, and you get that within one shot. Let me show you an example.
I need results! Now!
Road trips need this energy.
So everything you saw there was done with just one prompt. I put in one prompt and then it generated both the video and the audio that you saw in there. And to access the tool, there are two ways. Google has a new tool they're calling Google Flow. So it's their all-in-one AI video generation suite where you can do everything in one platform. You can access the tool from there, and you can also access it from Google Gemini's app. So these are the two ways you can access the tool, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more towards the end of the video. So right here on Google Flow, the prompt I have put for the very first scene was a dramatic action scene in a dimly lit office. A mafia boss stands and he has a cluttered desk, warmly lit, and then he slams the desk. And very importantly, I said he shouts with rage, "I need results now," and the camera slowly moves in on his furious face. So if you look at that, the dialogue that he says was what I prompted in. The same thing I did for the woman. I just put in the text that I wanted her to say, and she was able to say that. So I don't know about you, but I'm really impressed with some of the outputs we are getting from this. If you didn't take a second look that much, you might not really even notice that that was AI generated. But let's go ahead and look at a couple more examples. I wanted to test it out on multi-character dialogue.
What's your name?
My name's Emmanuel.
My name's Emmanuel. My name's Emmanuel.
My name's Emmanuel.
Wait, my name is Emmanuel.
All right, forgetting the fact that he didn't really adhere to the prompt, he kept repeating "my name is Emmanuel." We'll talk about that when we talk about the bad. So a continuous shot like that, where it's just one camera shot and the camera is moving that frequently, and you still have characters speaking, that was something that was almost impossible to do with any other video tool that's out there today. So this is very impressive. Like you see, I took that same video without the audio, try to put it on Runway, for example, to do the lip sync. As you can see, it says there are two or more faces in the content that too close together. It couldn't do that. So that was something that I do not know any other tool that can regenerate that shot as is today. So let's do one more so I can show you just how well it also adheres to camera movement. So here's the prompt I gave it, and you can see right in the prompt I mentioned some camera movement for it to follow, and let's see what that looks like.
Help me!
See there, it's following the camera movement very well, and this general shot just does not scream AI. It looks very real, very natural. So we know it does very well with live action video. I wanted to now test it to see how well it does with stylized animation. So I'm going to test it with these categories of 2D animation and also these categories of 3D animation, and let's see how well it can do with those. So I'm going to start by playing a parody trailer that I did just to showcase some of the good output, and then we're going to go ahead and look at them individually.
Adventure lives in your imagination.
This is my moment. I was born to sing.
I'm gonna win this race! Lightning fast, baby!
Gosh, sorry about that!
Haha, no worries, pal.
I came all this way because I had to believe.
It was completely accidental.
Why?
I'm not here to play games. I'm here to end them.
Yo,
Check the mic. 1, 2. This ain't no zoo.
Catch me if you can. You'll never capture me alive.
I came here seeking answers.
You know what, Rex? This view makes all our adventures worth it.
Let's start first with the old classic hand-drawn cartoon animation, similar to what you would see in Disney, Mickey Mouse, and some of these old times animations. And here's the prompt that I gave to it, and let's see what it created.
Gosh, sorry about that.
Haha, no worries, pal.
To my surprise, this actually worked better than I expected. If you look at the character design, the fluidity of the animations, even the physics of the powder pouring out there, and even the vocals that it generated, it matched very well the aesthetics of that time. And I think more importantly, we did not have that much artifacts. So there's no morphing or weirdness going on with the characters. Because with most AI video models that I test, when it comes to 2D animations, they struggle with a lot of artifacts where the character's hands start morphing, or the mouth or different parts of the character morphs. So this is quite impressive. Let's see one more example.
No fish today.
Maybe they're on vacation.
And again, just like the first, it did quite well with this one. This one has the gibberish text. We'll talk about this text a little bit later in the video. And there's a little bit of morphing if you look at the cat's mouth, but not that much. Quite impressed with this category. Let's check out the next category. For the next category, I wanted to test things like your rough sketch animations. So if you think about Ed, Edd and Eddy, if you ever watch Cartoon Network, those style of animations. So, and I gave it a prompt right here, and this is what it did.
This is the best pogo stick ever invented.
So right away in this one, I can already start seeing a little bit of that morphing. So let's rewind that back a little bit. So if you look at the character, it's not very solid. The mouth morphs there, a little bit of the character morphs. So this one does not do that great. The sound design does work well, but doesn't do that great. Let's try one more example and see if it does better.
Wait, you actually did that?
What? It seemed like a good idea at the time.
All right, same thing here. We see a lot of morphing with this character. You see the artifact, so it seems like it's struggling with this one. I'm not too surprised because there's not that much training data for this type of animation. Maybe that's why it has this, but I'm not sure. But doesn't do very well with these rough sketch style animations. Let's move on to the next category. All right, next I wanted to try anime style animations. I really love this type of animation. Let's see how well it can do.
Today I will teach you a final lesson.
Let's see.
I gave it a detailed prompt. It was supposed to do quite a movement with the sword. It didn't adhere very much to that prompt. So I think we cannot even test that much for the morphing because, again, there's not that movement in these characters. But overall, the aesthetics does match. So let's look at another example, a similar prompt from what I had in my previous video, the fire and ice.
You'll melt before you land a hit.
We'll see.
And once again, not that great. So I did prompt for camera movement for an arch movement. I was not able to get that with this. It works well with like live action videos, this camera movement, but again, not very great in the anime style. Just for comparison, this is what I was able to get from an image to video using clean AI. That one, much better. So it looks like it does definitely struggle with the anime style categories as of today. All right, let's try 2 more categories and then we're going to move to 3D. I wanted to see how well it does with comic book style animation because this is a very distinct style of animation. And so here is one prompt that I gave and let's see what it looks like.
Justice prevails.
So the aesthetics is great. You can see the bold outlines, the general look, the textures does definitely feel comic book like, and it did adhere to the prompt for this one very well. The only issue that I see, and I had this several times, I tried many different examples, is the lip sync. For some reason in this comic book style, it just is not able to get the mouth to move. Like you can see, he speaks, but then again, there is no movement with the mouth. Now, I did try one prompt where I sort of changed the look of the character to look a little bit closer to a live action human. And here's what that one looks like.
I'm not here to play games. I'm here to end them.
Right now, that finally fixed the lip sync issue. It was able to lip sync. Other than that, the aesthetics of this, very, very great. I really love the look. It's nailing these ones pretty great, apart from the lip sync issue. So now I expect it to do pretty well in this category. This is your modern web animation, so your vector style animations, 2D flat graphics. So let's see how well it can do with that. And this was a girl sitting on the roof, and then she says this is a perfect day to be outside.
It's a perfect day to be outside.
Very, very clean. The lip sync also really, really clean. So it does not struggle at all with this category. I tried a couple more examples. You would get your best animations in this category. Finally, as we head out of this 2D category, I wanted to test it out with your motion graphics style animations, like explainer style videos. And let's see an example here.
Follow these simple steps for 20 seconds to eliminate harmful bacteria effectively.
So again, apart from the gibberish text, that's pretty decent. With the sound effect, even the sound effect it has as the little objects were popping in, I really love that. It really got that right. So, but I would just avoid text. It's not very good at text so far. So I tried another one without text, and let's see how well that looks.
Hi, I'm Ben, and I'm a medical student.
Quite spot on with the lip sync, with the sound effects, and with the animations, the way they pop in and pop out. So overall, it seems to do well with the old traditional style hand-drawn animation, surprisingly, and then your modern vector style animations. It's doing pretty well with that. When you start getting to specialized animations, anime, I tried Studio Ghibli, watercolor animations, and all of that, it does struggle. There would be some artifacts here, lip sync issues, and things like that. But overall, pretty solid. For the explainer style videos, even though it does very well, I would advise if you want to do those kind of videos, you're probably better off using a traditional software like Create Studio. They just give you a lot more character consistency, and it's way cheaper to use those because you can just pay one time for those or a small monthly fee, and you can have unlimited generations. So you do save credits from that. I do have quite a number of videos on Create Studio. I'm going to put a link to those down in the description. You can check those out. Now let's move on to the 3D categories. For the 3D categories, I wanted to test the work in these various studios and just the various sort of aesthetics that they have. Starting first again with our Disney. So if you think about Disney, think about your princesses. Of course, there's going to be music. So I want to see how well it could handle the music and the singing. And here's the prompt that I gave for this very first video. And let's hear what it does.
The world is full of wonder when you open up your heart.
That for me was incredibly impressive. I think this is the first time I have actually generated an animation with AI that does not feel very AI-ish. There's just something about that, and I think it's three things. Because it's doing both the lip sync, the camera movement, and the animation all at once, it feels natural to what you would see from some of these studios. This is really, really very, very impressive. If you look at the shot right here, if you look at her dress when she turns, the physics of the dress, the way it moves, the way the camera moves, and her lips moves, it just feels very spot on. This one is smooth. I really, really love this. Let's try one more.
Dreams can come true if you believe in magic.
And once again, it nailed that. I am super, super impressed with the quality of these animations. Apart from the singing, of course, the singing definitely does sound AI, but everything else with this animation looks really, 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 really spot on. Quite fascinating the times we're living in today. All right, next let's move to a style of 3D stylized animation that most people reference today when generating 3D AI characters, which is the Pixar style animation. And here I'm looking for subtle differences, like I want to see a little bit more realistic looking textures, sophisticated lightings and shadings compared to what we would see in a Disney style animation. So we'll start with a simple prompt of a boy and an alien playing in the backyard. And this is what that looks like. And for some reason, I cannot get Veo to generate audio when I add the word Pixar in the prompt, when there is a human character in it. I've tried over a dozen different prompts. It just would not generate audio when there's a human. I don't know what that's all about. If anybody figures that out, please let me know in the comments. I would like to see what I'm doing wrong here. But other than that, if you look at the rendering almost right away compared to what we had with Disney, so here's what we had with Disney and here's this Pixar animation, you can see right away that we have a very highly detailed render. Look at the lighting on the alien, the way the sun comes, the way the shadows reflect on his face. If you look at the apples, we can see the reflection on the apples. A little bit of the shades in the garden. You can even see the shadows being casted upon the boy's clothing if you look at the details there. So this is spot on in terms of aesthetics wise, really spot on. The animation too, very fluid. So it definitely does get that style of animation pretty well. With Pixar, it's very common to see animations of inanimate objects. So I wanted to test for this. Let's use the classic Cars movie as an example.
I'm gonna win this race! Lightning fast, baby!
With the sound design, the lip sync, the rendering, pretty spot on. If you look at that, you see the shadows, the way that's casted, that looks really good. So I did try with some animals, and here again I'm trying to see how detailed the textures of the animals look like and how well it does with the lip sync. So here's a rabbit in the park that says something about its carrot.
You were supposed to last until dinner.
So the details of the textures there, quite impressive. The lip sync, also quite impressive. We don't know how rabbit talks, so I cannot really judge that, but does look familiar with what I would see in a Pixar style movie. Alright, next let's check out animations in the style of Illumination Studios. I expect it to be very similar, high textured rendered like we had with Pixar and lighting and all, but then I want to do further tests to just see a few more things. We're going to use the movie Sing as our baseline for the test. So first I'm going to test with a simple dialogue with the animals, and the prompt here was a dog conducting an interview.
Let's hear from a participant.
This is my moment. I was born to sing.
And I must say, this shot right here, I really loved it. Quite fantastic. I think it's just something about the way the camera moves and the animal speaking at the same time that makes it look very realistic. This one shot did have a little bit of artifact in the beginning. Other than that, quite solid. Now let's try with playing an instrument. The rendering of the mouse there looks pretty good, but it seems to struggle a little bit with comprehending how an instrument is played, the physics properly. And then finally, let's try singing.
I called to the Father and he heard my voice. He stayed right.
And my goodness, there's just something about the way it's doing this. It just feels very natural. Nothing about this feel AI generated. For example, I've generated a similar image and used one of the best lip syncing tools that's out there, Dreamina, to have it lip sync the same song.
I called to the Father and he heard my voice.
So if you look at that, it's just some way, the way she's standing, very static and all, that just kind of feels AI-like compared to what we're getting from Veo 3. Just feels like something you would be watching in a movie and you wouldn't think twice that this was AI generated. Next, I want to see how much I can get away with copyrighted content. So this time around, I did prompt it to generate something that looked like the Minions. And that looks pretty much like the Minions. Definitely doesn't seem to want to restrict that. And I tried another one with Gru and Lucy from the same movie. Then I got some pushback. But then I changed the prompt a little bit and just described what Gru looked like and did mention this Despicable Me. And then it generated
Now,
this.
I know this looks bad, but I assure you, it was completely accidental.
Again, if you look at that, you definitely can tell who I'm trying to recreate, that exaggerated character, but it got it pretty well. Finally, to just wrap us up, I just want to quickly check how it does with like CG render, maybe like your game engine, Unreal Engine render. I expect it to do pretty well, but here's a simple prompt and let's see what happens.
I came here seeking answers.
And what did you find?
Yeah, just like I expected, this one is spot on, very accurate. The aesthetics of that looks really great. I didn't expect it to struggle very much in that one. So in all your 3D categories, the model seems to shine better than any model that I've tested. Just the realism, the textures, and the way it does the video and the animation and the lip sync together makes it look really great when it works. And that's a big win, which takes me to some of the drawbacks of this model. 4 major drawbacks that I've noticed with this model. Number one is just the inability to get a reliable output from the model. Its biggest selling point is the audio. Sometimes you give the exact same prompt, you get your audio, you get your camera movement, and it looks beautiful. You might repeat that exact same prompt and get no audio at all from the model, or sometimes no camera movement. So you have to, for every good shot you get, sometimes you have to generate over 5 different shots before you get a reliable output that you can use from the model. Still related to the speech, the model tends to want to put subtitles every time you ask for a dialogue. And most of the times, those subtitles are gibberish or they do not make full sense. There is a trick to try to get them to be out, which is to not add quotes when you're trying to put the dialogue that you want the characters to say. That sort of helps to take this out. But they do pop up here and there, like you saw in some of the examples we showed in this video. And there is this weird thing sometimes that you ask for the characters to speak and it defaults to singing. And I've specifically noticed this more with black people. So like here's an exact prompt that I prompted for the man to speak.
Summer's brighter when you've got the right shades.
He says the dialogue pretty well. Now I just changed the word man to black male and it's made him sing.
Summer's brighter when you've got the right shades.
I tried the same thing with this female right here.
This dress, it is the moment.
She says the line okay. Now I just changed the word female to black female and it started making her sing.
This dress, it is the moment.
Try this with a Latino male.
Summer's brighter when you've got the right shades.
He speaks okay. I tried this with an Asian male.
Summer's brighter when you've got the right shades.
So it seems like somewhere in the training data, there is a relationship between black people and music that is sort of forcing the model to sing whenever it's a black person. I have gotten it to do black dialogue, but a lot of time it just tends to want to sing when it's a black person. That's a very odd behavior. I'm sure over time people will probably figure out maybe better ways to prompt it, but for now it's been very unstable for me. My second drawback about the model is that it is quite expensive to use. You do need a $250 plan to get access to the model, and this does not give you unlimited generation. It gives you a finite amount of generation, which costs about $2 roughly for every video that you generate. And with the level of instability that it has, it means every time you're doing all these generations, you're burning through quite a bit of money trying to just get one output that is usable. So now a little tip for the price. I did realize that if you do have the Ultra subscription, you can add up to 6 family members and they all get 5 generations on the Gemini app every day. So that's about 30 extra generations every day that does not count towards your credit. So that was a big plus. I didn't know about that initially. Also, if you're a student, you can get access to a Gemini Pro account for free. And if you're not a student, you can sign up for a 1-month free trial for the Gemini Pro subscription. And this does give you a few limited amount of generations for you to be able to try Veo 3. So if you wanted to try the model today for free, that's your way to get access to it. Now, my third drawback, which was a little bit frustrating, is that the Google Flow app is one of the buggiest app I've ever used from Google. Sometimes I click to generate, I just get an error message. Sometimes I try to upscale, it runs for a long time and I just get an error message that it fails. Sometimes my generations disappear, and when I refresh the page, there is no sort of queue that remembers the last generation and I have to reprompt it again. So it is quite buggy. It seems like they were in a hurry to release this, maybe because of Google I/O, but it has been getting better over the past couple of days. They've been pushing updates and I'm pretty sure they'll probably fix most of the issues, but it is quite frustrating given the price point that I paid to get access to this tool. And my final drawback, which is the biggest one here, is that there is currently no image to video. So you have no way to reliably generate a consistent character and even consistent vocals. And if you're going to use this to actually do serious projects, you need to be able to have consistent characters. Now, this one is a big deal, but I'm pretty sure maybe in the next couple months or two, they'll probably add this functionality to the model, given how quick the space is moving. But for now, really, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for your everyday users. To be honest, I think you probably get better value just using something like Clean or Runway, which costs way less, and you have a little bit of control of how you can generate consistent characters. You probably get better value from that. But this is a good glimpse into the future of what AI generated videos are gonna look like, and I'm really excited about it. And I think we're soon getting to the point where you could prompt an entire movie by just typing a text. I'm gonna keep watching the space. As it gets any better, I will do updated videos and upload here. So do make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you see those whenever they come out. Make sure you keep learning. Thank you for stopping by. Bye.